2018 has finally come to an end, and wow, it has been an awesome year for this channel. First of all, I wanted to thank every single one of you that takes time out of your day to come watch all the content I put out on my channel. Sometimes hours worth based on some of the things you guys have told me. Too many times I see creators growing rapidly and quickly forget where they came from. Without our viewers, we're nothing. That's a fact that applies to every single YouTuber on this platform. Doesn't matter if you have 70 million subscribers or 100. As of right now, we're at 23,334 subscribers. So with the new year right around the corner, realistically, there's probably not enough time to reach that 25,000 goal. But that's okay. That's actually not a failure. It's still a huge success because if you guys remember earlier this year, the goal of this channel was 10,000 subs by the end of December. I had no idea the channel would reach it so quickly. By the beginning of October, we had already passed 10,000. And then I put the 25,000 sub goal as the goal for December of next year. So you guys are amazing. The growth on this channel just in the last couple of months has been insane. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So the fact that I didn't reach 25,000 by New Year's, that's quite alright. Let's see what the goal for next year is. Maybe 50K. We'll see. I remember when I was at E3 this year in June, I had just passed 4,000 subscribers. And then it really started blowing up shortly after I returned and I started live streaming, which that's easily my favorite thing to do now. I love taking a couple hours out of those evenings, just having fun playing video games, catching up on my backlog, talking to you as a community, getting to know some of you guys better. I think I could credit the quick growth of the channel to trying new things. One of my main goals of the channel this year was just any idea I had, try something new and see if it works. The live streams are one of them. I started my Untold Legends side story series where I kind of explore side stories, or different lore in video games or comic books or movies. I'm not so strict on what I talk about there, but I have a lot of fun doing that series. I almost see it as a bite-sized version of my timeline series, so I definitely enjoy doing those. I also started expanding my Midnight Movies and Button Smash review series into a discussion series also, where I talk about things that I'm interested in the world of gaming and movies. And since we're at the end of the year, I just want to take some time out and go over the full history of the channel, give some advice, talk about what's coming up for the future, really without any script or anything, just real talk. Some people do YouTube just because they have fun with it, some people just do it as hobbies. For me personally, from day one, it was always something I had in my mind to do as a job. That was the goal. It was going to be my job. And if you've been with this channel since the early days, you may know some of these details already, but let's go all the way back to the early years. I did what most people do. You know, you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college where you spend way too much time and money trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. I didn't know what the hell I was doing in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I first started with digital media as a major, and I was there for like a year. I learned nothing and got A's and B's in my classes, so how does that benefit me? And then on top of that, the jobs in this area, when it comes to digital media, it's just, there's nothing. So then I ended up going into business management, got a bachelor's degree in that. And what happened next? I ended up wasting years and years and years of my life working at call center after call center. It was really discouraging because you're told your whole life that you go to college, get a degree, you need a degree to get a good job. It's not always true. That doesn't guarantee a good job ever. So let's fast forward to late 2015. I had just moved out of my parents' house with my fiancée, girlfriend of several years at the time, who, by the way, was freshly pregnant. And of course my son, who I have from a previous relationship. At the time, me and her were working for the same credit card company. We worked from home. We had outstanding pay, good benefits, good vacation time, great schedule. I mean, on paper, that's perfect, right? I really should have been happy, you know, especially with a baby on the way. I should have been ecstatic with my situation. But, I hated that job. I hated it more than anything. I spent so many years just doing this mindless work, sitting on a phone, getting yelled at by people, by different companies. I had been at this specific company for a couple of years already. I was over it. But at the same time, it felt like there was no way out. You know, like, is that what life is? You settle down, you have a family, you get a job that you hate, but hey, it pays the bills, so it's okay. It got really bad. Like, I don't even like talking about it, honestly, but it's part of where I came from. It's part of my backstory. And it's probably one of the darkest times I've had in my life. There were moments when I would wake up in the morning, not even in the morning, it'd be like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I could not get out of bed for no reason. And when I did, I would just kind of stumble around the apartment all day on a day off, not doing anything, just kind of going through the motions of being alive. I started calling out at my job quite regularly. I was starting to get in trouble. I couldn't wrap my mind around the thought of just sitting strapped to a chair with a headset on and getting yelled at by angry people for 8 hours straight. It takes its toll on you. And I remember one time I was taking a shower and I sat in the shower and I broke down. I didn't even know what was wrong with me at the time. It felt like I was just in this hole that I could not crawl out of. And my fiance, she was right there with me, supporting me through the whole thing. I mean, it went on for months, and she thought that I should go talk to someone. She thought I might have had some form of undiagnosed depression, so after a while I was like, I don't know what to do, I'll do it. So I went to the doctor, and real quickly, with a 1-page sheet of some pre-selected questions, and 10 minutes later, she had diagnosed me with depression and prescribed me some pills within like 10 minutes of meeting me. And I want to stop right there for a moment real quick and explain something. Depression and mental illness are real things. There really are some people out there that do struggle with these illnesses, and it makes their life a living hell at times. So I don't want to devalue those experiences, but for me personally, I knew that was a really quick diagnosis and that it wasn't accurate. I've never had a history of depression in my life. The pills they gave me did absolutely nothing. They didn't make me feel any better. That whole doctor visit I had just left me with a really bad taste in my mouth. They didn't really listen to any information on why I felt the way I did. They were just kind of hit a couple check marks that I was depressed, threw some medicine at me. I knew inside that there was something deeper. It wasn't depression. There was something else wrong with me. And it hit me one day while I was working. It just hit me. For some, it might have been obvious, but when you're in that situation, you don't know how to feel about things. For me, the stress and the hatred of my job, it had completely bled over into my personal life and had taken over me. Once I realized the source of that unhappiness, I knew things had to change. They had to. I threw away the pills I was prescribed, and I started thinking of a game plan, like, okay, what's my next move? What do I do from here? It was just like this epiphany, this feeling that I couldn't quite describe in words. I got mad. I thought to myself, I fucking had it. I'm not living this way anymore. I'm not doing it. I refuse. I was angry that I was in the situation I was in. I was furious that my life had boiled down to working a call center after call center. I wouldn't accept that anymore. And let me tell you something, having a baby on the way and already having a child helped empower me to feel even more that way, because I don't want my kids growing up in a world where it's okay for you to be unhappy as long as your bills are paid. No, fuck that. That's not what life is supposed to be. You're supposed to be happy in your life. I am a strong believer that even if you don't realize it, every single one of us has a skill, something we're put on this earth to do. And if you're not doing it, you're wasting your time. But anyways, once I identified that my job was the source of my unhappiness, what do I do from there? I couldn't just quit and have no income. And this is where YouTube comes in. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been a creative person. I love drawing. I liked creating my own worlds, my own universes, stories, comic books, video games. That stuff I grew up with on a daily basis. And I always really wanted to do something creative as a job. Although I can never really figure that out exactly what I wanted to do. And the idea to do YouTube, it's funny because it wasn't like a magical moment where I was like, I'm going to be a YouTuber. It just kind of crept up on me. And I could tell you exactly when. I remember the exact moment the idea just like filtered into my brain. I had just dropped off my son at school. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I think he was like in 2nd grade or something at the time, but that's not important to the story. I'm just sitting in the parking lot just fuming and angry that I had to clock in like 2 hours. I was so mad I didn't want to go back home and clock in and go to work. And randomly, out of nowhere, for some reason, I started reminiscing about these classic video games that I used to really enjoy. One in particular I thought of, X-Men 2 The Clone Wars for Sega Genesis. I really don't know why I randomly thought of that one, but I immediately started feeling better when I was like, you know what, after work tonight, I think I'm going to play that game. I haven't played that in a while. So all those good memories I had playing X-Men 2 The Clone Wars really made me feel better. And I thought to myself, man, it'd be fun to do like a little review and post it somewhere online. Funny enough, I still haven't gotten the opportunity to review that game, but I will get to it one day. But that moment right there is when it just crept up on me. I was like, YouTube. Can I be a YouTuber? I went home, I pushed in my shift, I talked to my fiance about the possibility of doing YouTube as a career. Now, I was fairly well educated on what that takes. I knew that it was very unlikely for someone to start a channel out of nowhere and become a full-time YouTuber. But I don't know, something, just the thought, the idea, it wouldn't leave my head. I started becoming obsessed with it. I kept my job. I started learning as much as I could. I taught myself how to edit videos. I had no idea how to do that before. I messed around with Photoshop to make thumbnails. I watched a ton of YouTube videos, a lot from Boogie. Boogie2988 helped a lot. I saw a lot of videos from him just giving YouTube advice. Read articles online about what it takes to become a full-time independent YouTuber. I was trying to fill my head with as much knowledge as possible. I wanted to prepare myself to do YouTube seriously. I wanted it from day one to look like I semi-knew what I was doing. And all that depression and unhappiness and anger I'd been dealing with for, at this time, like a year straight, it was gone. It was all gone. I knew I had to do this, and my fiance was okay with me leaving my day job as long as I had a specific game plan and I was confident that I could make this work. Which I told her at the time I was, but deep inside it was one of those things where you're like, I hope so. And come, I think it was February or March 2016, there was one specific evening I was working and my supervisor got on my ass. We had dual monitors, and I happened to be looking at my work schedule on one of them during a phone call. Something that everyone did, nobody ever cared. But of course, when you have a target on you at these kind of call center jobs, they'll find any reason to try to get rid of you. So I had a little one-on-one meeting with my manager, and she was scolding me, and I cut her off. I was like, you know, I quit. I'm done. Peace. I logged off the computer. I was done. I was done with it. I was unemployed, and I had a goal of becoming a YouTuber. And I knew I needed money to survive, so the next day I went straight to my bank. At the time, I had really good credit. So I went to the bank and applied for a loan, and thankfully my bank approved me for a loan that was supposed to last me maybe a little under 2 years. So I figured, okay, I have 2 years to hit the ground running and get my channel as big as possible. So I was just hoping that that was enough time. And then April 7, 2016, before I really had a specific set of content or personality for the channel, I posted my first video, a Let's Play of the Doom 2016 beta. Going back and watching it now, the video's kind of shitty. The quality's not great, the microphone gain was way too high, some of the humor was a little cringy, but I keep it on the channel so people could go back in time and, you know, see the early days. But this is only the beginning of the story. You know that saying, I forgot exactly how it goes, that things are darkest before the dawn? It is amazing how accurate that really is. Like a month after I started my YouTube channel, my fiance got fired from her job, the same place I had quit. At the time, she was like, I don't know, 6 months pregnant, and it was one of those things where it was obvious that they fired her because she was pregnant. She was a great worker, she never got in trouble, but it started getting to the point where she would have to get up during phone calls and go to the bathroom a lot, and you're pregnant. That happens. You have to pee a lot. But they didn't care. In their mind, she was going to the bathroom too frequently outside of her break hours, so they would start writing her up here and there. So one day they decided to randomly fire her for performance issues. In the United States, it's illegal to fire a pregnant woman for the reason of being pregnant. But it happens. All a company has to do is fire you and give another reason instead of the actual reason they're firing you. And in all reality, we probably could have sued them and easily won, but for some reason we just never did it. I don't even know why. We should have. But that's something truly despicable. So she had to go search for another job, and in the meantime, I had to pay all the bills by myself, which I wasn't prepared for. That loan that I had just received from my bank that was supposed to last me almost 2 years lasted 6 months before it was wiped out. It was a rough time. I had to find a day job. We had to move into a cheaper living situation. I ended up jumping from job to job after every couple of months. And honestly, I know it was mostly me. My heart wasn't in a day job. I wanted to create content on YouTube. Every time I was at a job, all I could think about was doing stuff on YouTube. I would call out sometimes because I was obsessed with finishing a video and I would have to go to work in a couple of hours. I couldn't hold the day job. My heart wasn't in any of them. So it was just the kind of thing where I'd find one, make a decent amount of money for a couple months, look for another one, and just keep going until I can make YouTube my full time. So I just kept pushing with that until this year. My last day job was at a bank, and I quit this last June. I was actually there for about 9 months. I was looking at my analytics, I was looking at the numbers on the channel, and I knew something inside me. I just told me if I can have like 3 or 4 straight months of just doing YouTube and nothing else, I know I can go full time. I know I can do this. So I took a little bit of a leap of faith and I quit my last day job in June, and I decided to go full in on YouTube and see what happens. And I'm happy to officially announce that as of the beginning of October, I've been a full-time YouTuber. It's my job now, and I couldn't be any happier doing it. It really is a dream come true. I have no managers harassing me. I have the ability to make my own schedule. I wake up excited every day to create content that I enjoy. And another side effect of being a full-time YouTuber that you don't really think about is the amount of close friends I've made through viewers and other YouTube creators. And if you're watching this, you know who you are. I've made some really close friends just by being active in the community and making content. People that if I hung out with in public, I would easily go have a beer with, and it feels like I've known them for years. So once again, I have to thank my community. You guys that come back repeatedly to watch my content, it's because of you guys that I'm in this position now. But rest assured, if you have a goal of doing YouTube and going full time on it, it's not easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Some people have this notion of just, you turn on a camera, you post a couple videos, and suddenly you're a big YouTuber. That's not the case at all. And it can easily take a toll on you if you're not careful. Some people might tell you also there's a little bit of luck involved. I think that's complete bullshit. There's no luck involved in any of this. It comes down to hard work, consistency, repetition, and trying new things. I like to say it's success on YouTube, really. 30% of it would be your actual work. I think the other 70% is more your mental attitude. If you come in wanting to be a full-time YouTuber and you think to yourself, oh, I don't know if I can. It's just a hobby. If one day I'll be full-time, sure, that'd be cool. You're not going to make it with that mentality. You're not going to. It's brutal. You have to decide that you want it enough. You have to plan out each of your goals and how you're going to reach them. And more importantly, you have to understand why you're doing this. You know, everyone's got their own why. My why that kept pushing me forward was the need to do something that made me happy. The need to wake up in the morning and be excited to work. What's really sad to me sometimes, I see these really talented creators that give up way too early. People that get discouraged when their channel's numbers aren't where they need to be. But if you find yourself in this situation, just really stop and analyze and think to yourself, have I really put 110% into it daily? Probably haven't. You really just have to grind away at it almost non-stop for little to no reward for almost 3 years, at least. The first year I was on YouTube, I was making about 1/5 of a penny every month. No joke, when you look at your analytics, it tells you how much you're making, and it said 1/5 of a penny. So that was the entire first year. The second year, I was making maybe $100 every other month, so nowhere near enough to pay bills. But you know, you have to keep going, you have to keep pushing through and working hard. And man, my fiance and I, we had some really rough times during the whole thing. After having our daughter, me being unemployed, her trying to take care of a newborn, there were a lot of really tough situations where she would want me to do something, I was stressed out for making a video, I wasn't pulling money in from YouTube, she'd have to take over a bill. We'd get into shouting matches. I mean, it happened quite a bit. I mean, there were some times when I thought to myself, shit, I'm going to have to quit. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. But again, I kept pushing through, and honestly, I would not have been able to do this without her. She did so much for me that there's no way I can ever repay her. Except that I asked her to marry me, so there's that, I suppose. She picked up the slack financially when I couldn't. She took care of the baby when I was busy. She stuck around while I sat there and jumped from job to job just because I hated it. I give her an insane amount of credit for this channel's success. Without her, I would not have been able to put in the work to make this channel a success. She knows that. And now it really pays off because she actually goes out of her way sometimes to tell me that she's really proud of me. All those really rough patches and times of uncertainty, it's all worth it in the end. So you really need to think about how it's going to affect you and the people around you. But once you start going down the path of a YouTuber, you're not just taking yourself with you, you're taking your family along with you on the ride. And I don't want to sound negative about any of this, I just want to show the reality of what it's like being a YouTuber on this grind. And I know it's not easy to stay positive, especially when you have big creators like this on the platform.
So now everyone's asking me, well, what advice do you have for small YouTubers? Quit. You cannot make it in this game anymore.
This is not true. It's not. I want to make something very clear. I'm a nobody. I started as a nobody. I didn't come from any popular gaming websites. I never worked as an editor for a gaming magazine. I'm just some regular guy that at the age of 29 decided to pick up a camera and start a YouTube channel. During a time when a brand new baby was a couple months away, I was unemployed. My girlfriend had just also lost her job. We were constantly struggling, wondering if we were going to be able to stay afloat while I chased this crazy dream of mine, and still had to work a bunch of shitty jobs just to make ends meet. And now here I am, a full-time YouTuber. What I want to point out is that if someone like me, in that situation, can turn content creation into a job, literally anybody can. If there's something you want to do, just fucking go for it. Now, I'm nowhere near big enough to be wealthy by any means. YouTube still takes like 45% of your revenue. I take about 15% out of every paycheck and put it aside because come tax season, the government's going to want a slice of your cake. No employer-provided health insurance anymore, etc. But it's enough to get by and pay the bills without a traditional day job. And I wake up excited every day to create content, and that's all I can ask for. That's all I've ever wanted. But I really do hope that my story and how I got here has inspired somebody out there to do something that makes them happy. Try something new that you never thought of before. This path of having a traditional 9-to-5 day job, in today's world, you don't have to follow that path. It's no longer a requirement. And if you're stuck in a situation you're not happy with, whether it's work-related or personal, it still applies. There's always a way out. And you always have a choice to improve your life. But yeah, 2019 is right around the corner. I have so much content planned for next year that I'm probably realistically going to get to like half of it. But it's planned and it's coming. I definitely want to continue trying a lot of new things because I think that's what helped the channel grow so much this year, was just not being afraid to try out new content. Next year I would like to eventually mess with streaming on Twitch. I don't know how I'd work with that and the whole YouTube community because I would still want a YouTube live stream, so I don't know. Time will tell on that one. I also want to make it a habit of reviewing more games and more movies more consistently because that's something I really enjoy viewing, even if it doesn't pull in the amount of views that some of my other videos do. I really enjoy reviewing stuff, and that's really where the channel started. The whole channel started on reviews only. I want to maybe re-review some older videos that I think I could do a lot better now. And I really want to start reviewing animated shows, like, what I have. Like, I got Captain N the Game Master, a real classic right here. I've been trying to review this. I'm going to finally do that. I also just got Batman the Animated Series, one of the best animated shows of all time. This might be the best animated show of all time. I want to review this, maybe even do a top 10 of these shows. So I definitely want to start doing a lot more things like that. Maybe even some board games. There's some classic board games I used to have, like a couple X-Men board games. I had a Legend of Zelda board game. I want to track those down on eBay and give those a closer look on video. I think that'd be a lot of fun also. Plenty of things to look forward to in 2019, and I hope every single one of you watching this stays subscribed and joins me for the ride. And whatever you decide to do on New Year's, stay safe. I'm going to go blow up some fireworks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button with all of your strength. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on social media or go into my community tab for updates. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the channel directly on Patreon. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.